Hello guys, it's Caleb here with a new power scaling video for the new year. And today I'm going to be power scaling maps from the Epic Battle Fantasy series. I've been kind of working on this for about a while now, and I was kind of unsure if I just wanted to do a video on Matt, just the whole team he's in. But I'm not just doing a, 5-powder, since all the feats they pretty much scale to I'm pretty much gonna mention here in the video, and they do have like similar abilities to each other, and a lot of them are pretty unique, so I don't want to mash them all up. Oh, and major spoilers if you haven't played Epic Battle Fantasy 5 or any of the games prior. Now, getting into Matt's backstory, Matt was a child of two sailors that traveled the world, but they left him at Hope Harbor when it became too dangerous for him to come with them, forcing him to learn most of what he knows by himself. Now, getting in terms of his attack potency, as early as like Epic Battle Fantasy 5 to like Bullet Haven 2, he pretty much scales into like large star and the solar system plus ranges, from fighting characters like Arkin, who can create black holes, to even supermassive black holes at the center of the galaxy. And now getting into terms of like his most highest to his potentially most highest, you can easily get him into like low multiversal to at least just borderline multiversal, from scaling to the Devourer, who reset the entire Epic Battle Fantasy multiverse at least 4 times, and even rewrote certain characters' entire storylines. And he also halted the player's progress, and the player essentially like exists outside the Epic Battle Fantasy multiverse, and at that time he pretty much couldn't access the player per se, but he pretty much could just reset the entire game. And resetting the entire game pretty much also includes destroying all the save files, which will also include the backup save files, which, if you pretty much have like a beefy enough computer, you can pretty much store, copy, paste over about millions to pretty much just a potential infinite amount of save files. If you pretty much take like the whole halting the player's progress. And since the Devourer is very aware, like extremely fourth wall aware of the player, he would definitely do this if he meant to completely halt the player's progress. And this would essentially get Devourer easily into like multiversal, almost even multiversal plus ranges. Especially since the Devourer, after the fight, essentially, literally, actually reads the player's higher dimension. But if you just want to be safe for like right now, like you can easily just safely say low multiversal, at least borderline multiversal, until like the next game comes out. Now, getting into speed, Matt easily reaches into easily MFTL ranges, from escaping black holes to almost immeasurable, literally just almost immeasurable speeds, from traveling through a wormhole that distorted space and time so much that they literally time travel. And this does scale to the combat speed, since they did fight in this wormhole. Now, getting into most of his powers and abilities, like his skills and magic,
I'm mostly just going to be covering Epic Battle Fantasy 5, because most of his abilities get covered over into certain other summons and some skills, shared by his teammates. Matt's magic and sword skills can pretty much inflict either earth, fire, water, thunder, holy, dark, bio, wind, bomb, and ice damage, which he can also absorb this through his equipment, increasing his resistance above 100%, essentially become either completely immune to it and utterly resistant to it, and even healing himself above it if it gets above 100%. He can also inflict some pretty nasty stats effects like stun, doom, death, curse, weaken, tire, poison, virus, scorch, burn, stagger, dispel, frozen, bad luck, siphon, dry, chill, wet, heavy, and light. And he can also resist this through the right loadout of gear. He can also give himself good status effects like good luck, brave, morale, auto revive, blessed, haste, lovable, and regen. He can also make his opponents surrender out of just pure fear manipulation alone from his Screamer skill, which pretty much just summons like a fucking this random ass jump scare at you, and this is literal dark magic. He can also cast Invisible with at least certain gear as well as some of his summons to become completely immune to physical damage, but unfortunately get double damage from magic-based attacks. He can also inflict enchant on himself to become immune to magical damage whole entirely, but it doubles physical damage. And his most powerful ability is being able to capture you in a cave, sealing you and literally just enslaving you and making you a summon. Yeah, this cage is pretty much like an oversized Pokeball because it can literally capture higher dimensional beings, ghosts, literal beings who can teleport, use anti-matter based magic. So it also gets buffed by his probability manipulation with, either the bad luck and good luck status. Now, getting into his resistances, he also resists the Devourer's law manipulation, as the Devourer literally states that he pretty much wants to create a world that's pretty much just ruled on the rules of nature alone. But Matt, with his free will alone, literally resists this. He also resisted the existence erasure of the entire Earth, and has multiple instances of going against fate. The player can also bring Matt as well as the rest of the team back from the dead just by continuing playing the game. Now, getting into skills and intelligence, despite living a sheltered life, Matt is a very skilled fighter, learning to master many weapons like swords, clubs, hammers, even weapons that you wouldn't expect to be very good weapons like a guitar and a hockey stick. He's also a pretty, I already mentioned, he's a very well-renowned magic user. He also can pretty much take orders from the player who exists outside Epic Battle Fantasy Multiverse. And Matt is also extremely fourth wall aware that he's a video game character, and even acknowledges the player's existence and their guardians protecting them from terrible fates. Now, getting into his gear, like his weapons, flares, and armors, these can be switched around mid-battle extremely quickly, even just the literal flash. a lot of his equipment does have like pretty good buffs, like morale, which allows him to survive hits at 1 HP, and Auto Revive, which in EBF 3 is shown to be already like potent enough to bring people back from the dead, as well as literal spirits who were like completely destroyed. And his summons have like a very large range of versatility, from changing the weather, buffing stats, inflicting and removing status effects and debuffs. And like I already mentioned with like the pocket watch, he can passively inflict slowdown, which inflicts stun. Okay, now getting into some other status effects I probably haven't mentioned yet. Bless pretty much prevents him from pretty much getting inflicted with status effects. Brave pretty much increases his critical hit rate and prevents him from being debuffed. Defend, that one's self-explanatory. Good luck, I practically already explained that, but it also like protects against Death Manip. It pretty much makes it just become stagger. Haste, that practically gives him like an extra turn. Lovable, practically prevents him from being targeted. Morale, I already explained that. Pretty much survive at 1 HP. Also pretty much protects against, Death Manip. Regen, pretty much allows him to regenerate. There's also, the bad status effects. Bad luck, it's pretty much like the exact opposite of good luck. Burn, that one pretty much does like burn damage. There's also Scorch, which pretty much does more damage than burn, but it also lowers HP. Confuse pretty much forces opponents, I guess also players, to also just throw out random skills. Curse, weaken, and tire. All these stats pretty much either lower like attack and defense, evasion and speed. So like they're pretty much all self-explanatory on that. Dispel. Now this one is pretty good because it pretty much dispels like stat buffs. Thus and like increases in attack power, speed, any of that mess. Freeze? Now, freeze is more like with stun. It pretty much like stops you in your tracks, but freeze can pretty much be broken off if inflicted with like another status effect or hit with fire that was poison. You pretty much take like poison damage, but there's also virus, which is pretty much like stronger poison, but it can also spread to other opponents. There's also random, which pretty much can like just hit the lottery on just any other nasty status effect. But in conclusion, yeah, Matt is a pretty versatile fighter. Well, I'm definitely gonna make the rest of the future videos on like some of the other teammates. Natalie, Anna, Lance, No Legs. It's just with them, they're definitely gonna be a little bit more, cut down. Because, Jesus Christ. Going into Matt, mostly because I have to I'm just gonna throw in like most of the links in the description to all the armor stats and whatnot, because there is just so much to cover that whenever I eventually get into doing the videos for the other characters in the future, yeah, it's definitely gonna be a little bit more cut down than this. But the only other verse I can think of, definitely going to go into very deep ass research for, like, I guess you would say that they probably this year would be Outlaw Star. So until next time, check you dudes later.